1820s, when Harriet Tubman was born, slavery was actually expanding in the United States due to the invention of the cotton gin in the 1790s. Cotton was really on the rise as a critical crop. Tobacco was on the decline. And what that meant is that there were surplus slaves in Maryland, which made families vulnerable to sale and fracture. And that's something that Harriet Tubman experienced in her young life. When Harriet was a very young child, Harriet, her siblings, and her mother were actually separated from her father. They're able to retain ties as best they can, but families during this time period, it's incredibly difficult, and most enslaved people in their lifetime would lose a close family member due to sale, somebody being sold away. So it's incredibly difficult for Black families. She's able to work, she's able to do arduous work, but she also, for the rest of her life, suffers debilitating headaches, seizures. She will fall asleep at a moment's notice, and some scholars speculate that she suffered a form of epilepsy due to this grave head wound. The Underground Railroad was a network of activists who had safe houses, who acted as conductors to help guide enslaved people to freedom. Through those connections, through her work, through her marriage, through moving about and having somewhat atypical level of mobility for an enslaved woman, it's likely that she might have found out about the Underground Railroad that way. The very first trip that she makes back to Maryland in late 1849 is to rescue her niece and her niece's two children. And she did so with the aid of her niece's husband, who was also a free man. And so initially she goes back to help liberate family members. But then by the mid-1850s, she's really operating as a full-fledged conductor on the Underground Railroad in terms of leading people to safety. When the war breaks out, she does something that a number of Black women do. She provides assistance to the Union forces by nursing wounded soldiers. But she does more than that. She acts as a spy for the Union in terms of going into Confederate territory. She knows it well, she can navigate it. She accompanies Colonel James Montgomery on an expedition along the Combahee River in South Carolina. And that Combahee raid leads to the liberation of at least 700 enslaved people. Some historians estimate as high as 800. But this is a massive achievement for this woman in terms of providing assistance to the Union Army. She has a legacy not only in terms of the freedom of enslaved people, not only in terms of African-descended communities in the United States, but for reform more generally, for women's rights. And she stands as a symbol of liberty in so many ways, of democracy in so many ways, in terms of really sort of taking it upon herself to effect change.